Warning. This program contains very strong language from the outset. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, welcome to Hard Lines, the podcast where we look at Roast Battle UK. My name is Drew Stearne and I'm joined as always by Miss Shalaka Kurup. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well. We had a great show just on Friday past with, amongst other things, a return of yourself back to regular roast battling.
Yep.
No clickbait 8-year-old, a genuine person that you knew who you were going to be talking to ahead of time, you could write jokes about, and it was Jonathan Cogan, who is a regular on the roast battle scene. How was it getting back into it in a normal fashion?
It was nerve-wracking, but it was exciting. When one of my jokes bombed and didn't do well, I was like, oh, I feel alive again. I feel so alive.
I think that is a big misconception about stand-up comedy, is that it's really great when it's going well and it's really bad when it's going wrong. But I think if you don't love it when it's going wrong, it's probably not for you. You don't have to like linger in it too much, but if you can't still be happy when it goes wrong, and roast battle is a place where when it does go wrong, you can make that into a bit in its own right.
Also, when it goes wrong, there's no middle ground with the roast battle. When it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. I've never seen a joke go wrong and go
The thing is, like, in some circumstances you can blame the audience, but I have to say, actually, it was a modest audience, but they were really good. Like the energy was up super high. They were really up for it. The large variety of jokes.
And did she blame the audience anyway? She did, vocally, loudly on stage.
Obviously, you still blame the audience. You don't take ownership over any failures you possibly have. That's absolutely normal.
I was one step away from going, do you know who I am?
Quite often when Shalaka performs, she's introduced as the 2-time UK champion, the global MVP, blah, 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 blah. We've covered that on here before. But Mark Cram, the host this time, didn't. He didn't mention it.
I'm so glad, because that would have been so much more embarrassing.
I know, and that's why I brought it up.
I know.
During the judging. Although, to be fair, I did bring it up just to make fun of Jonathan.
Yeah. A strange man. Very, very likable, but very strange.
Well, we had... He is an odd chap. I've never beaten him in a battle, but I have battled him, and he's fun to battle. He takes jokes well. That's a great roast battler for me, is someone who takes jokes in their stride and runs with it. But he goes dark.
Well, he went... I wouldn't say dark with me. He went very genitalia focused with me.
Very vagina focused.
He was very specific for someone who's never seen my vagina.
Or any vagina, I think.
From his descriptions, I don't think he's ever seen a vagina in his life.
I think he just read some comments scrawled on the men's toilets wall and ran with that, frankly. We will probably show clips from that battle. In fact, here's some highlights from the show itself.
Sometimes the jokes write themselves. Okay, we're going to meet your first judge, the wonderful Drew Stearne. There he is. Look at that handsome fucker sitting down there.
This hard ginger is Conor Lehane.
Oh, this was a great battle between a 70s serial killer and the hooker decaying in his trunk.
Very simple. He looks like if Obi-Wan Kenobi also did slam poetry.
This was a great battle between what I presume is a fisherman who's scared of water and a lumberjack who's scared of trees.
How was your first ever roast battle?
Terrifying and super exciting, super fun.
Is your name actually Luke?
Yeah, name's actually Luke.
Okay, cool. I've been calling him David to other people. What would you say the favorite joke that someone said about you tonight was?
How long have you been calling me David?
Rich, how do you find your first battle tonight?
Very scary.
How long have you been dressing like Steve Jobs for?
Rex looks like he has an intolerance of gluten and minorities.
A great battle between a paedophile and the boy he's grooming. So I have to give that. I think that was from Lewis, right? Who gave that comeback?
Point to which one?
Yes.
That's Rex.
Was it Rex? Then it was Rex. I can't tell them apart either. It's fucking hard.
Ever since moving to the UK, all Shalaka has done is shit all over this country. Because she doesn't know what a toilet is.
Fuck off, Drew. Anyway, this is Jonathan answering the question, what if Crazy Frog shopped at Boohoo Man?
I think for a bit of context for the audience, Shalaka is actually a 2-time UK champion, a global MVP, one of the best I've ever roast battled, and Jonathan is also here. I love that Shalaka laid into what Jonathan is wearing when I think you're wearing the same outfit.
I know.
Shalaka looks like she's auditioning for the Bollywood version of Jonathan's sitcom.
Hello, front row guy. How do you find roast battle tonight?
I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun.
What's your favorite sex position? He's never had sex! Thank you very much, front row guy! Hello, what is your name?
George.
This is Brad, everyone. Brad, how do you find roast battle tonight?
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Brad, how do you maintain your hair?
With a concoction of baby semen and gel.
Pedophile Brad, everyone. Give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Women Roast Battle.
We'll be covering the Rich versus Luke battle from that show in a future episode because it was an amazing battle. But both their battle and Lewis versus Rex were both first timers. And even Connor, who's up against Helen Kay, he hasn't done that many battles. So there was a lot of new talent coming through, a lot of room to grow, but a lot of really potentially amazing future battlers up on that stage. So we'll be looking into that, what fresh-faced new battlers look like up on stage, showing that anyone who is competent at doing stand-up comedy can jump into doing roast battles. And we will look at them in a future episode. But today, we're going to be looking at something special because we're going and digging out not just one of the best battles that I ever saw, but one of the co-hosts of this podcast, Shalaka Kurup, featured in herself, between yourself and Helen K. Now, set the scene between yourself and Helen K. What goes into your mind when you know you have to battle someone as prolific a roast battler as Helen K., who at the time, I think, was roast battling almost every single week?
Oh, I was terrified. And I was like, oh, I have to prove myself. Yeah, it was, I just remember even to this day being really, really nervous and anxious about that battle. Later on, I remember people coming up to me being like, wow, you really hate her. And I was like, no, I was less reactive than I normally am because I am in my own head, pre-analyzing my jokes, trying to pre-analyze my jokes before I say them with my mouth, and also try to listen to her so I can have a comeback. And everything that was going on and the nerves as well, I think my face just kind of shut down a little bit. And on the flip side of things, people are like, wow, you're so deadpan. I was like, no, I just cannot bring an expression to my face when there's so much going on in my head.
With Helen, I think it's become more a case now, but you're also not sure which Helen is turning up to the roast battle, because sometimes she's very deadpan, very dark, and kind of very not monotonous in style, but just kind of a monotone delivery. Sometimes kind of physically a bit more retreated, and then sometimes, like she was actually on Friday, a lot more energetic on the front foot, which she has been for the last couple of battles actually. A lot more smiling, and it's not knowing what your competitor's persona is going to be on stage can be hard to dial in. I think for this one, she was very much kind of the Helen K of that era that we know and love and respect. She was absolutely on form. You were both on form. Everyone in the room loved this battle. We have used clips from this battle to promote Roast Battle for very big events, because there's just some key jokes in here that are unbelievable. Some great examples of joke writing structure, and I think we should dive in and look at round number 1.
Yeah, let's do it.
I dropped a drink. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no.
How is everyone? Is everyone good?
Anyway, putting the mail in mail order bride. This is Helen K. Helen is a depressed anorexic. If she's not cutting calories, she's cutting herself. So there is that.
Sorry, I'm a bit intimidated. Last time I saw Shalaka, she tried to deport me to Rwanda. Shalaka used to get in trouble at school for lying, and she still does it to this day when she tells you that your call is very important.
Yeah, Helen's mom used to tell a lot of lies like, I want you and I love you. She never said that.
There we go. Kicking things off as we mean to go on. And we have being joined by a little friend, Faith the dog, who may or may not stay. Stay around for the rest of the battle. But so those little moments of coming up onto the stage, and it can happen with broken mic stand or kicking over a glass like that. You have to roll with it and kind of make it part of the bit. And I think it helped set a scene for you immediately as kind of like, it was kind of apologetic, and an audience who doesn't necessarily know what's about to come might say, oh, look, she did something wrong and she's sorry. Hi, how is everyone? And it sets this expectation, which you then immediately kick in the ball by insinuating that Helen cuts herself.
Yeah, well, she does. No, she doesn't. You know how people hate the sound of their own voice?
Yes.
I have that, but also to a greater extent, this battle, because I haven't watched it back since we did it. This battle has reminded me of what happened after this battle, which was Raj Pujara, who's a great stand-up comedian and a very good friend, pulled me aside and said, bitch, stop breathing into the mic.
So.
And I'm sorry to ruin the rest of this battle for everyone else that's watching it, but all I can hear, I can barely focus because all I can hear is me on the mic going...
So I wasn't going to mention this, but I shoot and edit all the footage that we get from roast battles. So I've seen this footage many times. I've edited this footage into clips, and when you're watching it back, I don't think you were aware of it in the moment because you hear your own breathing the way you hear your own breathing. Yeah. But the way that you're holding that microphone, it doesn't move an inch. Just pointing straight up your nostrils, just going. So all the way through Helen's jokes, which are all great, you can just hear this very controlled breathing. It's almost great in a way that you didn't start hyperventilating or anything, because it could have shown, but we could all hear it so well. And I've been editing this with like headphones on, and every time I come back to this footage, I went, oh yeah, I forgot how much Shalaka breathed into the microphone. This one time, I don't know whether that was it, and then you figured out not to do it.
No, I did it for a couple of battles, and this was the third one I think in a row where I was doing that, because I got into the habit of holding the mic quite close to my face, and Raj was like, you breathe like how I do when I see a McDonald's. He's like, are you diabetic? And I'm like, no. And he's like, why is your breathing so loud?
I think at the time Raj was a bit bigger than he is now, so that made a lot more sense. Yes, it's not bad mic placement.
But not when you're trying to listen to someone else.
When you're talking, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Not so much in between. But the whole idea about stagecraft and how you hold a microphone is very, very important, and a lot of people get that very, very wrong. And I've been a sound engineer for comedy and for live music and for lots of things. And mic technique is one of the hardest things for comedians to get through their heads, because you're not taught it anywhere. It's just you have to figure it out. And if you're not paying attention, it's very easy to do something wrong. And technically, the only thing you're doing wrong is the angle of your nose is just perfectly
pointing
going
down,
straight down the microphone. A millimeter or two left or right would have been absolutely fine. It doesn't subtract from the battle.
It does in my head, because I'm like, oh, there she is, the bitch is breathing again.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely do need to breathe. You just don't need to amplify the sound of your breathing quite as much. It's
just like, it's learning experience, isn't it? Because I had a similar thing where I got really into just very casually holding the mic against my chin.
Yeah.
Mics are filthy. So I went through months and months and months of really bad chin acne and be like, why the fuck is this happening? Somebody sent me a video of someone cleaning out a microphone. Never did it again.
Yeah, why do you think I have a beard?
Yeah, fair enough, protection.
Most of this is just dirt built up from microphones. Microphones are filthy.
Yeah.
And there are some kind of OCD comedians who bring their own microphones to gigs for that exact reason.
I don't blame them. I've been at gigs where someone's put the entire mic into their mouth, and I've had to go on after them and be like, great, someone's mouth has covered this entire mic and now I have to speak into it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at open mic nights or like gong shows where 30 comedians are all, and not just comedians, desperate, sweaty, dirty comedians, as most of us are a lot of the time. And we are in very close proximity to these little metal objects, and then having to put one close to your mouth. I think our immune systems collectively must be incredibly strong for that reason.
I think there's a reason why comedians get ill around the fringe. Everyone comes back with fringe flu. I think it's exclusively because everyone's in close proximity touching the same mics for an entire month.
Probably like a hotspot for things like how COVID spread in the world. It wasn't actually brought over by anything else. It was just the fringe from the previous year. And that's
Edinburgh is the real Wuhan.
Coming back to the jokes in hand, they're putting the mail order bride. That's just a classic kind of language joke there. Helen being Russian, the mail order bride thing comes up fairly often. I think we've spoken about that before on the podcast. But it's it's kind of like a B joke as an opener to the rest of the place. It doesn't have to, you don't have to hang around on it because you're just introducing the person. So it's a great way of just starting your round off.
Yeah. I quite enjoy that joke. If she's not cutting calories, she's not cutting. It's not one I'm proud of. Cutting calories, cutting yourself. I just like a little bit of word. It's fun wordplay.
I think, again, not knowing what persona Helen's showing up with, if she shows up with one that is a bit more moody on the day, then that actually fits a bit better.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, the frame that we've just paused this on, Helen is smiling from ear to ear. Which,
and I'm like, she's gonna kill herself.
It doesn't always ring true. And I think it's also funnier when it doesn't necessarily ring true. If someone's on stage genuinely looking depressed, making fun of that would feel worse. Yeah. And we're not necessarily making stuff up about people, just stuff that people might conceivably believe to be true.
Yeah.
And then Helen counters with being nervous because she's worried last time she saw you'd deported to Rwanda.
Yeah. That joke I'm not a huge fan of just because I hear it all the time.
It's also slightly dated.
It's
It's to do with the previous Conservative government and Priti Patel, who's no longer a cabinet minister. But we even saw that joke kind of surface this week in the show. So it's still lingering around for people who still remember who Priti Patel was. But
that second question, that second joke, phenomenal.
Yes. Again, that's in the same way that you have your joke against Helen tapping into the mail order bride, the Russian woman, that stereotype. She taps immediately into the kind of the Asian person working in a call center. Yeah. She's saying it without saying it. So by suggesting that, she lies to you when saying that your call is important, you've said it. The audience understands what you're saying without ever having to call it out. And this is the best way of finding something you want to say about someone and then just not saying it, not just saying, you work at a call center. It's like, no, that's not funny. This joke is funny. The way it's constructed, the way
it's also a personal favorite of mine because that fact about how I think it's still a fact I share with people. The fact that I used to be a compulsive liar is one that no one ever touches because they're like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
And she's the only person who's ever made a joke about that and made such a funny joke about it. So it's one of my personal favorites.
It is like, I'm not sure what, I mean, I've battled you and I couldn't touch that. I didn't know what to do with being a compulsive liar is because it's not something that the audience would necessarily believe. But in this case, it doesn't matter. Because it's not hanging on the fact that you're a compulsive liar. Yeah. You kind of forget that was the seed of the joke when the bulk of it is like, Asian woman must work in a call center. Yeah. Which, let's not beat around the bush, is racism, but done in a funny way.
Yeah, for sure. That's all that roast battle is. Racism in a funny way.
In a funny way. And it's done with permission and in front of your face and done in a way that we clearly know not to be true. And that's why the audience has permission to laugh at it because it's not a reality. It's a fiction that we're creating. So this was a solid round one. Let's carry on with round number 2.
Anyway, this walking gulag is Helen. Helen loves DIY, which is interesting because do it yourself is the only way she gets a fist in her asshole.
Yes! It's not my fault men have such small fists. Where did I go? Shalaka lets her white boyfriend come inside her because mayonnaise has to be stored in a cold, dark place.
There we go.
There's so many things there where I was like, nothing makes sense.
There's so many mathematical errors in this, but it doesn't necessarily matter because the audience found it funny.
Yeah, the only way she can get a fist in her arsehole is she a contortionist?
Yeah. But also she says her response, it's not my fault the men have such small fists. But that would make it easier for them to get in. If it was big, she'd have to do it herself.
There's just so much about it. And also the mayonnaise joke where it's like, but why does it matter that he's white? Because all men's sperm is white. all sperm is white.
Yes, I think yeah. As I say, mathematically it falls apart. But the point is that because you're not expecting it. Yeah. By the time your brain has processed the logic of it, the funny of it has sunk in. So again, back to Russian stereotypes. Walking gulag.
Walking gulag is great.
Walking gulag. You've just find a cool Russian phrase
and then put some shit in front of it.
A walking gulag. A gulag is a form of outdoor prison. I'm not sure what a walking gulag would look like. Apparently, it looks like Helen.
I think my thought process was Helen is the definition of imprisonment.
Yeah, or just Russian misery.
Russian misery.
Russian misery. Yeah. So this walking gulag. So
it's funny how that is the most that a joke makes sense in that entire round.
Yeah, I think gulag is one of those words that you don't.
So nice.
You don't hear it every day. It sounds nice. It's a good comedy word. It's got some good hard consonants in it, and then it hits like immediately. Visually in your brain, you get an idea of gulag being this miserable place where you never want to be. I think most gulags are in Siberia, which is also where Helen's from. Yeah. She's actually from Siberia. So there's a subtext there that the audience might not even be aware of. So it works. And it helps that Helen has an Eastern European accent. So you can verify that they actually are Russian. There's nothing worse than accusing someone of being something and the audience going, are they? Yeah. Are they? Maybe not.
The number of times I've gone on stage and people have been like, oh, she's about to get arranged married. I'm like, sure. I mean, it's a funny joke and it ties into the racism and the stereotypes, but you can't. I think this is a good, a bit of a tangent, but I think about this all the time when I'm writing my jokes, where and I've seen so many comedians do this, where they'll do, especially if it's against a man or me or whatever, they'll do 3 jokes being like for example, somebody would be like, she's about to get arranged marriage, she's 30 and she's not married, she's going to be an honor killing, and then later on be like, anyway, she's been with her boyfriend for 7 years, and it's like
there's no consistency.
There's no consistency in who you're painting this person out to be.
Yeah.
It's like when a comedian goes on stage and they're like, this guy's such a fucking virgin. He's never had sex in his life. Also, his girlfriend is a piece of shit. And it's like, but you called him a virgin 2 jokes ago. There's no consistency in the image. But maybe I'm just I'm thinking about it too much.
I think that kind of consistency registers subconsciously with audiences. Yeah. And I think having a consistent world that you create about this person and that you then make them live in and then kind of paint that picture. We talked about it before about how like having themes running through and kind of building a consistent image of someone. I think that works for an audience on a level that they don't actively realize is happening. Yeah. And those little contradictions, I don't think they would be able to pick up on it to describe, but I think it does harm the way, because it doesn't feel like the jokes are real, because as soon as there's a contradiction in there, you went, oh well, these both can't be true, so the whole, I don't know where
you
what
lose
is,
a little bit of trust in the
even if all of it's fiction, if you created a consistent fiction, people buy into it.
It's like when I've seen people do jokes against you where they've called you a pedophile, because that's what you do at roast battle, you call all men pedophiles, but then they mention that you're married and you've been married for a long time and you're old because you've been married for a long time, and it's like, so he's a married pedophile? They exist for sure.
They totally exist.
They definitely exist, but
it is harder to make people. The thing is, we're not asking people to believe these assumptions, but it's believing a consistent fiction, like creating an entire world.
It's like when they paint you, be like, oh, he wears 2 watches and he's a nerd and he's such a loser and he loves Rubik's, he's solving Rubik's cubes, but also he's a sex pest and sleeps with tons of women because he's especially young women because he's a pedophile. It's like, in that world, both of those two, you're either a loser nerd or you're a young aged philanderer. Like there's no consistency in both those images existing at the same time.
And you cut yourself off from opportunities for callbacks. I mean, we were talking previously about the difference between like a double dip and a callback, and there is a narrow distinction between them, but the idea of calling back to a joke is a very powerful tool that you get kind of to reuse another laugh, a previous laugh again. So I would agree. I think that consistency of tone, that definitely works. And here we've certainly started by painting a consistent picture of Helen as being well, apparently a miserable Russian woman who fists herself in the asshole, to use your language. And I think Helen's comeback, I think while we've explored how mathematically incorrect it is, because it feels off the cuff and the audience feels the structure of a joke coming in, and that the fact that she's delivered a line, you don't really stop and think, wait, actually, she should have said big fist. That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
The fact that she's delivered it, that's what's funny.
Yeah.
And you find that a lot with crowd work, with improvisational stuff, that it's more about the speed of it coming out rather than it's like the preciseness
or accuracy.
Yeah. If you were workshopping this, you would change the language and you deliver it differently.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is about. It had to be delivered. And then Helen's joke about mayonnaise, again, mathematically might not necessarily make sense, but it's a joke that has been so good that we know for a fact that it has been stolen and used by a competitor in the US who wholesale, like there's no accusation of parallel thinking.
That could be levied. I mean, it's not just that one joke, is it? It
was a few.
If not all. It was at least all. 3 or 4, almost all of them. Yeah,
the bulk. And we've put clips of this out.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can deny.
Yeah, I actually saw Helen posted this battle on YouTube, and I found it to send the link to someone else, and it's got quite a lot of views as well on YouTube, and I presume all of them are from other people looking for inspiration to write their own roast battle jokes.
And you can get inspiration. You can look at structure, you can look at tone and delivery, and even the topics themselves. Nothing belongs to you as a comedian, but the actual wording of a joke and the using the precise combination of concepts. Once you say them out loud to anyone, that's yours. That's your ownership. We don't have any legal recourse, but we all know that's your joke. That belongs to you, and that joke belongs to Helen.
And also, once I think the way in which this person was caught out wasn't the fact that it was one joke or 2 jokes. It was the fact that it was not only 3 or 4 of the same jokes, it was also in pretty much the same order as well that Helen had done them. So it was like, we're just watching the same battle happen. Well, one side of the same battle happen in front of our eyes.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show how strong Helen's joke writing is, that people will want to steal it. I don't think anyone has ever wanted to steal any of my jokes. Like they're fine. They're like, you can keep that. The mayonnaise in the cold dark place. I think it's one of the best jokes that Helen's done at a roast battle. I really loved it. The audience loved it. But let's move on to round number 3.
I'd have a comeback for Helen's vagina, but that would be an easy joke, and I don't do easy, which is why I've never fucked Helen. This bulimic borscht is Helen. Helen has a resting bitch face, but an active pig body. If it walks like a pig and it oinks like a pig, Helen is ugly.
Thank you, Unibrow bomber. All right. Obviously, Shalaka's not a terrorist. She looks like she would ask ISIS for more homework.
So we kicked that one off with bulimic borscht.
Yeah.
Again, another great combination. There's that consistency that we're talking about. Kind of, once you tee up a couple of these, you can kind of keep them coming, and the audience is now expecting some kind of descriptor and Russian word.
Yeah.
And bulimic borscht has got the alliteration in there.
Love an alliteration.
Ties into kind of the body dysmorphia issues that Helen has in her list of facts to talk about. It's nice little opener, going straight into I think one of the strongest sets of jokes you had in this battle, the pig trifecta here. What goes through your mind when you're writing that sequence? How does that kind of joke develop?
I don't even know. The resting bitch face was one of her facts, and I've seen so many people do jokes about that for so many years, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to address it. Funnily enough, the one battle she chooses not to have a resting bitch face.
Indeed, you don't know which Helen's gonna turn up.
And I think it was just a manic, what's the opposite of a resting bitch face situation? An active pig body, such a stupid thing to say. When in doubt, I think it's not everyone's method. My method is when in doubt, just say the stupidest thing.
Fair enough. So did that when you go make that leap from resting bitch face to active pig body, does that then trigger, like what else can I do on the pig theme?
Yeah. I wanted to say, I think the pig theme came from, because I looked at some of my older roast battle jokes for inspiration, and the pig theme came from me doing a roast battle joke against Caroline Haynes, maybe. And I can't even remember what the original pig joke was, but I said oink oink. Oh, I said she looks like she spends her evenings. No, it started with when Caroline is in hunting for truffles in the forest.
Yeah.
And then I think I ended with oink oink something. It was an oink oink joke, and I looked at that and I was like, there's more I can do with pigs here. Yeah. That's one of the advice I give out when I'm judging is, if you get a big laugh, just stop.
Yeah.
Don't do another joke. But I was so excited. I went against my own advice, and because I was just so committed and had so much belief that tag would do well, and it did. But that's one of the few times where I've actually gotten that big of a laugh and continued to do a tag after that.
Right, for the uninitiated, explain what a tag is.
Oh, sorry. A tag is, if you do a joke, a tag is just adding on to the joke with something extra.
Yeah.
You're increasing or improving the image a little bit more.
Yeah. They can be called tags. Sometimes they're called toppers.
Toppers.
Yeah. Something that just, they can often be the biggest laugh of it. But as you say, if they're not, it undermines how good the previous one was. I love the kind of the dual comedy rules that you have in that last little bit. If it looks like a pig and oinks like a pig, Helen is ugly, because that's both the comedy rule of threes and
a misdirection.
And a misdirection, pull back and reveal. So, it is more of a misdirection than a pull back and reveal, but it's like combining two tactics. So again, we were talking about the maths of jokes. This one is like arrows and lines and like underscored, and having all the text and algebra stuff just coming down the screen. That's what this is.
Agonized over that joke for the entire week leading up to this, where I was like, it walks like a pig and it talks like a pig. What else can I say? It's something like a pig. It's something like dance like a pig. And I think it was Luke Hall who's like, just say Helen is ugly. And I was like, okay, Luke, you know what? Fair enough. When you need practical advice, go to Luke Hall. He'll call someone a fat cunt and be like, yeah, that's great.
We've discussed before how Luke goes for the jugular like that. I'm not surprised that definitely rings true that Luke had some input on that.
Yeah.
And then Helen comes back with
thank you, Unibrow bomb. So good. It's so good.
And I think it doubly gets a big laugh because the thank yous can sometimes feel improvised. They never are. So this was probably written down to always come at this section.
Yeah.
But because it comes off a big laugh at her expense, her then comeback, I think, is elevated and gets a bigger laugh than it would out in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So the audience is already like, we love that one, we want another one. So then they get another joke that they get, they're like, yes. So that gets a really, really big response. I think bigger than the joke on the page deserves, but you're playing the audience, you're playing the room, and that works perfectly. And the reason that we know it's obviously written because it ties into the main joke. The asking ISIS for more homework. I don't think it's her strongest in this battle. But
she's got better ones,
Yeah, I mean the connection to terrorism just feels. Unibrow bomber is just a way to use unibrow.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any particular connection to Indian women being terrorists.
Yeah.
I think it is too much of a conceptual leap, but unibrow is enough of a connection.
Yeah.
And I'm looking straight at you. You don't have a unibrow, but you look like someone who possibly could have one.
Yeah. It's like the Asian women are hairy thing.
Again, it's that stereotype. So like before anyone's actually had a chance to look, double check, and then verify that in their brain, they've already laughed and they're already moving on. So that just makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's pretty bold to do a terrorist joke against a tiny Indian woman, and she pulls it off. I think she pulls it off really well by being like, is she a terrorist? Nope, she's a fucking loser.
She'd ask for more homework. And the thing is, again, mathematically it doesn't really make that much sense, because why would ISIS be giving homework? But the thing is, again, because the audience is on a roll with you, in a vacuum, if you just stood up and did this joke, I don't think people would find it funny. But because it's done in the rhythm of everything else, and it's timed well, and it's in the flow that the audience is with, and they are lapping this whole battle up. So they're like, they've had so much confidence in the last few rounds that they feel like everything's going to be funny. So they are primed. They are ready to go. So they're on a hair trigger, which is exactly where you want an audience to be.
Yeah.
So this joke lands, and it just works. I don't think it's her strongest, but the audience responds to it in a very positive way.
I think there's a magic with roast battle where if you're on joke 3 and the audience are with you, it takes a lot to lose them by jokes 4 and 5.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen tons of times, but you have to have a real stinker to lose them at that point.
Yeah, you've got them in the palm of your hand. I mean, the best battles are where both competitors in round 1 have huge laughs because the audience relaxes. Their laughs are on our hair trigger, as I said, rather than ones that build or have ups and downs, because then if it has ups and downs, you immediately don't know what the next round is going to bring. By this point in this battle, everyone's like, all of these are going to be bangers. We're ready to laugh.
We trust you. We're going to have a good time.
And that's not by accident. You've created that environment. You've set the stage for that audience to be really on board. So all of the laughs are hugely deserved. Let's move on to round 4.
This kosher cunt is Helen. Helen is a practicing Jew but a perfected racist, which means that she is only 25% Ashkenazi Jew, but she would 100% Ashkenazi out.
Listen, you don't choose your heritage. If we could, you'd have less body hair. Shalaka actually recently got UK citizenship. She likes to tell people that she's been naturalized. Girl, no one doubts that this is all natural.
Yeah, unlike Helen, I wasn't affected from Chernobyl's radiation, so...
So, kosher cunt.
Kosher cunt. She's in with the alliteration. She's in with the alliteration. She will not stop.
Yeah, obviously we've taken a sidestep from the Russian side and we're going into her Jewish heritage. Helen, for information, realized late in life that she was a quarter Jewish, something she didn't know growing up, but she knows now, and it's part of her facts. So as far as we're concerned, it's always been true, it's always a fact, and it's a prime target for making fun of. I
just needed something my opener to lead into the next joke, and I was like, okay, here's a long list of Jewish things. Oh, kosher.
There you go. That works.
Yeah, that's cunt.
I'm pretty sure she's not kosher, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The facts don't matter.
Yeah.
Practicing Jew into
perfected racist.
That balance and symmetry, that's a lovely little joke there.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's a bald white man, genuinely dislike. I'm not that joke. I think is my worst one in that battle. Okay. Because I don't like calling people a racist for no reason. Even though I assume most people are racist.
A lot of us are.
It's just not believable for someone with Helen's accent and Helen's general demeanor, her personality being in this battle especially quite a likable, nice person. Yeah. Despite the horrible things she's saying about me. It's very difficult to pull off calling someone racist at that point, especially after you've just called them Jewish. To be like, she's Jewish, but she's a racist. I
think it might also be worth mentioning that this battle was from a few years ago. Yeah. The temperament and climate were a bit different. And not to say that this joke wouldn't be done now, it's just the audience might be primed in a different way to receive that joke then as opposed to now. But I think it's still... I think the Russian side, I think people can make that leap.
Yes, but the Jewish side, it's harder to do that. Yeah,
which weirdly is a fact. Like she does have Jewish heritage. Yeah. She's not a perfected Jew or a practicing one, as far as I understand. But again, it is part of the reality of it. So as soon as you say that she's a practicing Jew, it feels like something that would be weird to make up.
Yeah.
Like you might call someone a paedophile when they're clearly not, but to say someone is Jewish when they're not, that just doesn't make any sense. It's like calling someone left-handed if they're not. It's like it doesn't make sense. But it works for here, and I like even though that you're saying it's not your strongest one in this one, I think the practicing Jew as kind of a set phrase, as a set combination of words, and then inverting it for perfected racist. Yeah. I think it's just this perfect little balance. I would give that joke more credit than I think you're giving it. I like it a lot. Just a nice little joke.
Yeah. all of that is just so that I could take the huge swing that was Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi out, which I laughed so hard at. And I was like, most people are going to be like, what the fuck is she saying?
It's a leap, but it's a bold one. I mean, it's one of those, those great jokes where you say, oh, like once I've heard it, like, why hasn't everyone thought of this joke? This one is like, yeah, I know and thought of that one. It's just that leap. I don't know how you made it and how you connected those two dots.
When I wrote that joke, I started with Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi out, and worked backwards. I was like, this has to be how I end this joke. I'm going to do anything in my power to make that happen.
Well, it worked. The audience, like, I think the dissonance of their, like, I would never have put those phrases together, but they feel so close, like in just the letters of the words. And you've already established the her being Jewish, her being racist, and it just feels like such a perfect little leap between the two.
I think the reason why I cringe a little bit when I listen to that entire joke is because I know the desperation that I went through in order to make that joke work.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's invisible, the writing process and the agonizing. And it might be fun at some point to kind of share the raw notes leading up to a roast battle, but they can be pages and pages and pages full of every battle I do is page after page of rubbish, absolute rubbish, unusable crap, stuff that you definitely would never even dare say out loud, but you have to get those ideas on the page.
The two things I think I would never like if I died, the two things, or if I'm still alive, the two things that would release to the public that would destroy me is my internet search history the week before a roast battle and my historic roast battle joke notes, not the jokes, the notes that I have.
Yeah, what the stuff that you say on stage, you have to stand behind and you have to be like, yes, I said this out in front of a camera, in front of a live audience. I'm happy for this to be out in the context of where and when I said it. The notes the notes are it's just an extension of that small space between your ears, which is your only privacy, right? We should extend that to contain the notes app. I'm the same. Mine aren't password protected or anything. I mean, they're on my phone in the way that my phone is protected, but I have like my financial information, that's all extra password protected, but somehow these notes aren't, and it would be far worse for me. I'd rather you steal all my money than read some of the raw thoughts that you put down, because that's the part of processing it.
I don't think I think I would get instantly cancelled if someone opened my notes app for this battle and saw me just do immediate no career for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's so good. It's good. It's so bad, but it's so good. And this is the thought process that we go through. We'll have a discussion off camera whether or not we keep that in.
I don't mind.
Okay, fair enough. But it was a great tee up, and then that leads us into Helen's response. Not being able to choose your ethnicity or choose your heritage. It feels like something that she would have written down, but it's delivered in a way that feels improvised.
Yeah, I would believe that it could be improvised. I think the general thought is there.
Yeah.
But I think that the way it was said was improvised.
This could be one of those cases where you have a stray thought in your notes, which you haven't been able to connect to a joke, but it's just sitting in your head and it can be triggered by a joke the other person does. It's good to have those.
When I did my roast battle against Jonathan Cogan, where he said Unpreeti Patel, which I've heard for the 100th time, when I responded with, there's so many others, there's Mindy Failing, there's, what did I say, Usha Trans? No, I didn't say that. I said Suella is a man.
Suella is a man,
Suella is a man, Mindy Failing, Ambika Mid. And that was just thoughts I'd had from when I saw him, when I judged his roast battle, and he was like, okay, Unpreeti Patel. And those are the thoughts I had then. And just when he said that in that moment, I was like, okay, this is the time to just fucking...
And because we talked about it on this podcast, I called him out on it on the judging, and he kind of, but that was his joke from 4 years ago. I'll double check the records of that, but might be right, that he was one of the first people to do
Also,
that.
I don't think it's a big flex to be like, well, actually, I did this joke 4 years ago at a roast battle, and it's like, so you're using jokes from 4 years ago at a roast battle.
Yeah.
But there's no winning in that situation. Everyone's lost there.
But this case, it works. The comeback, the national stereotyping again. And because she's talked about heritage, she ties into your heritage. It's a perfect little comeback.
Also, it was a great comeback for, maybe it wasn't completely, because for the joke that came after that, it was perfect. They tied in together the Naturalised.
Yeah.
Naturalised.
Yes, it does. Because the again, that tying in of naturalization versus natural body shape, it's kind of that dual meaning of it. I think it flows really well. It's tapping into stereotypes that I think at a glance then we would have discounted, but the fact you laughed at it before you've really processed what it is, which says more about the audience than it does about the joke teller, to be honest.
You just watch this battle and you're like, this is just two bitches calling each other fat.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of if I'm being pessimistic about it, I would say that an audience which on the whole at roast battle skews male, are seeing it as an opportunity to laugh at women or make jokes about women in a way that they know that they can't. That's not a great way of thinking about it, but I think it could be a factor.
Also, what would help with your improve on your pessimistic view is this. Actually, I remember this night there was a lot of women, because a lot of female comedians came to watch the show just because they heard me and Helen were roasting each other.
That does make me feel better.
Yeah, so there was a lot of women in the audience. I don't know what the balance was, but tons and tons and tons of women in.
I was definitely there because I filmed it, and I was on later I was on early in the evening. This was the closing battle of the night, and I remember just laughing at the battle, and I'm now questioning what my morals were around laughing. Was I laughing at the real quality of the comedy, or am I just a woman-hating man who just liked seeing two women go at it?
Both can be true.
Both can be true, indeed. Right, let's move on to round number 5.
Here with all the charisma of a concentration camp, this is Helen. Helen's got 4 tattoos, but her grandmother has got 6.
Listen, I feel like Shalaka and I have a lot in common. Well, we both have like this kind of menacing aura, but for some reason only I am called unlikable. And unlike you, all racist, I'm not afraid to say it. Shalaka, you're a dick. But obviously I'm just jealous because we're both immigrants, but only Shalaka could be sex trafficked in a carry-on.
Right. Ending on the darkest note, I think, there on your side, but continuing the theme from the previous round.
Yes, I also do like, finally, a joke about my height, which, to be fair, I can see why she didn't do them, because she's not that much taller than me.
No, I was able to zoom right in on this footage. Normally, when Shalaka battles someone, I have to leave room because the person next to her is quite tall, or normal height, as we call it. But here, Helen isn't massively tall, but slightly tall. And as soon as someone's slightly shorter than you, as far as roast battle jokes are concerned, they're short.
Yeah.
If they're slightly heavier than you, they're fat.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. And her joke about you being human trafficked in a carry-on, I think is one of those, again, it's saying it without saying it, and it's just so, that is, I like a nice joke. Like, it still involves human trafficking, but it's the idea.
It's kind of sweet. It's like, oh, you could fit her in a carry-on.
It is a sweet kind of joke, and those are the kind of jokes that I genuinely like making, and I like hearing, and that one is really nice. Yours, I wanted to ask about yours actually, because you get to the end of that one, and it sounds like you have something else coming, and then you stop. Did you have another joke?
I did have another joke. Oh no, I said, because I'm looking at my notes right now. Because I was like, why did I stop there? And it was 2 things. One is that classic thing I say, if you get a big enough laugh and the audience gets it, just stop.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to ruin that with another joke.
Absolutely.
So I was going to say something else. And looking at my notes, I can't even figure out what the follow-up joke was. Oh, it wasn't a follow-up joke. I found it. It was, Helen has 4 tattoos, but her grandmother has 6, and people laughed so hard that I didn't need to finish. It wasn't another joke. I was finishing the joke.
Right.
Which was, if you're counting each number separately.
Right. I think we made that leap already.
Yeah, which I was shocked by. Because Roast Battle is a drunk audience.
Yeah.
So you have to really spell things out. So the fact that everyone made the leap, I was like, well, I don't need to finish the joke.
Yeah, I mean, that would have not helped, because like the 6 is that's your hit, that's the hard X, that's the laugh. The rest is just explaining why what you've just said is funny. So I think it works better. But you're right, if they hadn't laughed,
I'd have to be like, if you're counting each number separately.
I think and at that point, if they still don't get it, that would have felt really
I've just fucked up my career for no reason.
If you're going to make that joke, make it stick. And I guess very fortunately for everyone involved, it works as it is. And the Holocaust jokes, they come up a lot at Roast Battle, and they are tough going. But I think it's just part of the way that we look at the world and explore things, and the catharsis of doing this. I don't think I've done any. I stand to be corrected, all the footage is available, but I have laughed at many of them, so that doesn't make me any better than anyone else. And I think that in the context of what's already been said, I think it's a perfect roundup. I don't think it's the strongest round that you had, but it definitely works, and it's this building of a theme. Like, she's Russian and she's Jewish, so all of the jokes are going to hit into all of that. And so you have created a consistent feel. In fact, both of you have. And the sum total of this battle to me is seriously, it shows so many different techniques. It shows such a depth of writing and thought going in, and at the end it is just 2 women on stage going at it, but there's so much more to it. And I think it was one of the most perfect battles that we've seen at Roast Battle. Yeah,
I think there's a lot to be said. As someone who was in this Roast Battle, for me, the best thing about it was that this sounds like I'm a dick in this situation, but sometimes you just do a roast battle against someone, and I've done roast battles against so many people, and sometimes they've paired me up against people who've never done it before, have done it once, and I've done it against people who've, like Elliot Brown, had maybe never done it before, and he was phenomenal. But what people think is, if you're doing a roast battle, if you're paired against someone who's never done it before, done it like 2 times, it's an easy win for you. But it's the worst kind of win, because the audience had a miserable time, and because of their jokes not doing well, your jokes start to suffer. I think this was the exact opposite of that situation in every single way. Yeah, I think there's a mantra that goes round a lot of roast battles, where it's better to lose a good battle than to win a terrible one. And if you have a battle where both competitors get their licks in and people get laughs, it becomes entirely immaterial who has actually won that battle, except financially, because we're going to get paid if we win. But apart from that, as far as the entertainment value is concerned, it's vitally important that both of you do well. And as we've both had situations where it's felt like you're just bullying a kid, or it feels like you're working really hard to recover every time the other person has lost the room. And the audience can sometimes kind of split their opinion and really go for one person and really be against some other person, but that doesn't feel great either. You want a sparring partner, you want the person that you're up against to be able to punch back and to kind of hit you where it hurts, and for it to feel like an actual battle. There's no joy in dominating your that might be a London thing. There might be in different cities kind of different attitude towards that. I think LA might be slightly different in how they treat roast battles and how they take it very seriously in the kind of the original Comedy Store Los Angeles setup. Pardon me. But I know from my experience, a battle like this where both of you are up there, and Helen almost always delivers that. She rarely has had a bad battle. I've battled Helen more times than anyone else. As in anyone else I've battled. I've battled her 3 times, which is quite a lot of times to have been paired up with the same person in the last 4 years. And it's never consistently gone one way or the other. Like it swung back and forth, and I find they're very interesting to write about. There's a lot to kind of hook onto, and the way she looks, the way she sounds, what she does, her history. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of very interesting facts that people believe are to be true as well.
some of my favorite jokes I've ever written have been about Helen.
Same, yeah.
So she is an incredible competitor. I can't recall who won this, and from here it would be very hard to pick a winner. Who actually won in the room?
Oh, I won in the room. Yeah.
You won in the room. I think that one.
It could have gone either way.
Was it a split decision?
It definitely. I didn't win like all out. It was split decision.
Yeah, and I think that's the only fair outcome of this. This was from about 2.5, 3 years ago, so
like
quite a while ago. This was when I think you were riding high in your kind of 2-year dominance in the UK scene.
Yeah, I was doing roast battle every week.
Yeah, and it was when the show was on every week and you could battle every week. It's since gone to monthly and it's come back and it's been a bit more regular since then.
Yeah, it's regular but sporadic at the moment.
Yeah, we... For current dates, check out the website or the links that we'll have in the description. But when it was every week, Helen and yourself and a few competitors were on every week, and the quality just went up and up and up because of that. The kind of the frequency, and it forces you to write so many jokes. But this was an absolute classic. I would struggle if I was the judge in this to really... There's some great jokes. I think the Helen Pig jokes are really, really good. I really love the trafficked in carry-on luggage is really, really nice.
Unibrow bomber. The first joke she did against me, which
lying when she says your call is
important to us.
That's a great joke. I think there's... I may have gone Helen's way. I think if presented with it, if only because I know that she can stay. She can get actively angry. She's a dear friend, but she can get very angry with you about a variety of things, and it just feels like I just don't want to get a death stare from her. It sometimes errs towards voting for her.
We all have one roast battle. I'm not going to mention mine, but we all have at least one roast battle friend who we're worried about voting against them. So every time they do a good job, you're like, oh, thank God, thank God, because I didn't want to vote against them because I don't want to have that conversation.
I don't think anyone's ever accused roast battle judges of being completely impartial all the time. And in fact, the fact that you judge and I judge, but we also battle. There are some judges who only judge, and I think it's easier for them to be impartial. But
like I'll vote against Joshua Bethania until the cows come home. He does not give a shit either way.
It's and I like to think of myself as not caring either way, because honestly, once you stop telling jokes, for me, that's it. You the battle has been won if you've both done well, and you both got laughs, and you haven't made the audience feel like what are we doing here, which can happen. But this was a phenomenal battle. It's been great breaking this down with you. But I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode. It's been a great diving into one of your battles. Next time we'll look at two fresh people so we can be a bit more objective. But until then, my name's been Drew Stearne. Thanks for watching.
I've been Shalaka. Thank you.
Drop us a DM on Instagram at HardlinesPod and drop us a follow while you're there. You can follow me on Instagram at Drew Tells Jokes and Shalaka at Shalaka Kurup. And to get tickets for the next live show here in London, head over to roastbattle.co.uk/tickets.